Thank you, and I want to thank all of you who are here today for coming out to listen and learn more about this exciting breakthrough technology that we are developing at Aim. So at Aim, we are developing an MRI-compatible surgical robot for use in the neurosurgery suite and the MRI suite. By combining robotics with MR for real-time MR-guided feedback, we believe we have the ability to revolutionize the way surgeons visualize and treat disorders in the brain. By way of feedback about background on the company, we licensed this exciting technology from the Worcester Polytechnic Institute outside of Boston. The key to our value proposition is that the robot can be used in the MR environment, and that is unique to any robot on the market today. The inventors of the system have been granted over $14 million of NIH funding, and within that research, they've generated 3 issued patents and 11 pending, which we now have the exclusive worldwide rights to. And within that research, they've also built 2 working prototypes that have been used, one in a 30-patient human study at the Brigham and Women's, and a second which is on its second NIH-funded animal study. We believe this $14 million, which has been invested at the university, has gone a long way to proving that this can be a viable product in the commercial market. So let's talk about the clinical challenge that we are trying to address. So brain disorders is a large and growing market. There are millions of patients alone in the United States who suffer from these debilitating diseases. The focus of our market, though, is on those patients who have failed their pharmacologic treatment and are looking for a surgical pathway and a surgical option. But even after tremendous advancement in this space, there still are challenges to successful outcomes in this neurosurgery field. And this is characterized by a study done by Paul Larson at UCSF, where they looked at databases of over 28,000 patients who were treated with stereotactic neurosurgery. And within that patient population, procedure population, up to 34% of the procedures being done were being done for revision, meaning the first and sometimes the second procedure had failed. And the number one reason these procedures fail is because the surgeon doesn't accurately hit the target deep in the brain. And that's the challenge that we are trying to overcome with our system. So we are working to develop the next generation of image-guided surgical robots. Today, stereotactic head frames are what are primarily used as the method for guiding instruments into the brain. Neurorobots have appeared in the marketplace over the past years, and they have advanced efficiency in that space. However, like many other robots in the market today, they are large, they're bulky, they add time to the setup and to the registration process, and they're certainly not MRI compatible. By building an MRI-compatible surgical robot, we know that we can gain that real-time feedback from the MRI and reposition the robot and tools as necessary to make sure that we ultimately hit those targets the first time, every time. We will also be, because we have to fit into the MR scanner, we'll be small, we'll be lightweight, our setup process will be timely, and will be very portable and be able to move from room to room. And we think that's a very attractive proposition for hospital administrators who are kind of tired of buying million-dollar robots that sit in a single room. So we believe we have a great value proposition. If you can hit the target the first time, every time, you can produce better outcomes for those patients, you can reduce the risk for the patients, you can reduce the overall procedure time, and do that in a lower cost environment, which would be attractive to hospital administrators. So in terms of the proof of concept in this NIH funding that's been utilized to develop the technology, the first prototype was built by the inventors. They were looking at addressing the prostate biopsy market. So they actually did a 30-patient IRB study at the Brigham and Women's, where they were really trying to test whether or not the system could be accurate in hitting targets to the millimeter level within the prostate, and whether the robot could work within the MR without interfering with the signal. And within this study, they proved both of those concepts. The most recent $3.5 million NIH grant that the inventors are working with is a novel approach of ultrasound ablation in the brain, where they're combining robotics, MR guidance, and ultrasound ablation to find a better way to attack and ablate tumors within the brain. So just to switch gears and talk about the management team here at Aim Medical Robotics, the primary inventor of the system and our chief scientific advisor is Dr. Greg Fisher, who runs the renowned medical robotics lab at Worcester Polytechnic. This work actually started with Greg when he was a PhD candidate in Russ Taylor's lab at Johns Hopkins. He carried that work with him to Worcester, and this has been his life's work and mission to help develop image-guided surgical robots. Julie Politzis is his clinical partner. Julie is a renowned functional neurosurgeon from Albany Medical Center, and she's been right at his side as they've been looking at workflow and clinical applications for the system. In regards to my background, I was the global vice president of sales at Hansen Medical when Hansen was acquired by Auris, which you all know was subsequently acquired by J&J. So I think I've got a great feel for what surgeons and administrators are looking for in the robotic space. Craig Pearson is the founder of the company. He's a life sciences banker. He's also the chairman of the board out of South Florida. He found this technology when he was investigating another company, and he has really devoted his life now and resources to bringing this tremendous technology to the market. With Dr. Politzis' help, we've assembled a tremendous medical advisory board, including Bob Gross from Emory, Andre Machado from the Cleveland Clinic, John Willey from WashU in St. Louis, and Josh Rosenau from Northwestern. All are dedicated leaders in this space and are really at the forefront of moving these procedures to the MR environment. We have a great group of corporate advisors that are working with us, including Dr. Jonathan Sakier, who is really a pioneer in surgical robotics. He worked as a founding partner and director at Computer Motion when they brought the ASOP robot to the market. Samantha Suri is a serial entrepreneur and investor who's got a real mission of helping companies like ours come to market. And Gus Costello was the senior vice president of operations at Intuitive Surgical for many years. Each brings a real unique skill set that we can take advantage of as we go to market. So just quickly, in terms of our funding status, we are literally, as of this week and next, closing on a $2.25 million seed round, which was led by Surrey Capital Partners out of New York in the Lambda Fund family office. As well, Triple Ring Technologies is an investor in our company, and they are also our design engineering firm is doing some of that beautiful work that you saw in the opening video. Worcester Polytechnic is also an investor in our company. In terms of the development milestone, we are here in Q2 of this year, finishing our design inputs and building our first prototype of the system. We are looking to raise and be introduced to folks at this meeting that would help us in our next raise of $15 million, which we're targeting towards the second half of this year. We have an ultimate goal of bringing this product to the market in the middle of 2023. Thank you very much for your time. I think I ran a little bit over. I appreciate the extra few seconds, and I'd be glad to answer questions in the breakout room. Thank you very much.